Hello, I'm Lisa. Namaskaram, and welcome to today's Saturday Sit. We're continuing our conversation about observation, and specifically, what we're looking at today is a practice of deep listening. As a short recap, we spent quite a bit of time talking about installing a stillness practice earlier this year, and additionally, spoke about equanimity for several sessions. And we did so with the intention of laying a foundation for this process that we're in right now, which is this observation, really looking at things. And the reason we start with stillness and equanimity is because without those two things, looking, observing through all of our five senses really doesn't do us justice, because without the ability to really let the dust settle, or the snowflakes in the snow globe, as we've talked about, without the ability to let the dust settle and allow whatever's here to actually show up, observing is, a partial view of what's actually happening. So we're looking today at deep listening. And I use the word deep listening, deep, to describe it because we all have a habit of listening to respond. We don't necessarily hear what someone else is saying because we're usually trying to prepare our response. And I'm bringing this up because not only do we want to become more observant and be able to really show up as deep listeners, but also because we all know how this feels when we're speaking to someone and they are checking their phones or looking at their smartwatch, or I don't know, gazing around at the environment, whatever it might be. When we are communicating, we can really sense whether or not our audience, whether that's one person or a lot of folks, we can really sense the level of engagement. It's not necessarily a verbal connection. It's more of an energetic one. So that's why I wanted to take some time, because it feels really badly to show up and share something. Not everything is as important, right? There are different degrees of communication. But I believe, in my experiences, that honing this ability to really listen to someone until they're finished speaking, until they give you a cue on, do I actually want your input? Do I want you to respond? Or am I just maybe venting? Maybe I don't need you to solve my perceived problem. Maybe I just wanted somebody to know about it. So these are all things that make us really good listeners and effective at deep listening. So this is what we're going to explore today. And we're going to do this on kind of a high level. A lot of the meditations that we do involve sort of early practice skills. And today we're going to use our go into a little bit more of an advanced practice as we bring a person to mind in our exploration that we think has a habit of talking too much. We're going to explore how we might better show up for them. So what we're going to do now is just go ahead and move into the actual practice. And talking about meditation, there are a couple of things I like to touch on before we jump in. One is, there's no wrong way to meditate, so take yourself right off the hook for that. Anytime that we're bringing our consciousness and our awareness to our inhale and our exhale of the breath, we're taking that moment to realize, on a very even subconscious level, but we're still aware of it, that we're breathing in this life force that nourishes our body. And that when we exhale, we're letting go of kind of the staleness of what's in us, the parts of us that have been maximized and are now rubbish. So we really want to think about this inhale as bringing in the life force, and then letting go of what, as I always say, no longer serves us. So there's no wrong way to do this. Most people don't ever take a moment to acknowledge the breath, let alone pay homage to it or feel respectful of this thing that keeps us alive that we take for granted most of the time. So we can't do this wrong, whether we're, aware of our breath moving around, maybe, as I always say, sitting at a traffic light, or maybe we're shifting positions or stretching, or even before we go to bed or we wake up in the morning. We can't do this wrong. So we don't need to worry about what it looks like, how it feels. Bringing consciousness to the process of breathing is the practice of meditation. The other myth is that, we're not trying to escape. We're not going anywhere when we close our eyes and concentrate and focus. But what we're learning to do is to arrive where we are. And that may sound simple, and it is simple, not necessarily easy, which is why we call it a practice and why it's kind of a lifelong commitment that we want to fold into our everyday life. So, in doing the practice itself, I invite you to create a space that's meaningful for you, inviting and welcoming, whether it's through flowers or candlelight, incense, anything that makes it feel like your own space is what we're going for, because this is our space. I have meditated in closets, in bathrooms, as I've traveled, and as I'm not always home like you're not. And so we have to get creative. But I never feel when I'm meditating that I need something in my environment to be different. Our practice is all about creating a space that we can take with us, so it's ready at hand. That's one of the beauties of meditation. And I do always like to just focus on one benefit. As I say, when I meditate, I usually discover something new that I hadn't focused on yet, a benefit of meditation. And today, that benefit is, as I said in the beginning, getting to be better, more deeply attuned listener to, increase our communication skills, which ultimately helps us connect with one another more effectively. So that's really what we're going for. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. I will guide us through inhales and exhales for several cycles. I will let the support drop along the way. And then we're going to move into more of an exploration. And again, I'll guide us through looking at this process and this practice of deep listening. I do begin the practice with a Sanskrit invocation, inviting light and truth and immortality of spirit and peace just into our very short session today. And I do begin and end the sessions with that. That's your cue that we're sort of starting, and that's when we're ending. Whatever you are able to experience in terms of something valuable here this morning, even if you don't hear a word that I say, I just thank you for being here and encourage you that anytime we're carving out time to allow ourselves to show up in our bodies and to show up in the space that we occupy, it's a beautiful gift that we give ourselves. So don't get too concerned about following along, or maybe some of the things I'm saying aren't resonating. It doesn't matter. Just keep focusing on your breath, inhaling, exhaling, letting your thoughts come and go. We're not trying to block anything. We're not resisting, ooh, I don't want to feel that, or ooh, I've got to do this, going through our, sometimes what happens to me is I start going through my to-do list when I'm meditating. So that's very natural. But when we do that, we just want to be aware of it, and it's okay. We don't want to scold ourselves or feel like, oh, I don't want to feel this, or I don't want to think about that, particularly if we're grieving. And we don't want to block those feelings. We want to let them arrive. So with a couple of deep breaths, I'm going to go ahead and jump in with us. And here we go. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, Churmaritangamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Beginning with the in breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath. And as we breathe in, really taking in this life force that nourishes our body. And out breath, letting go of the rubbish. 6, 7, and rest. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. Breathing in. Letting go. Breathing in. Letting go. Continuing our breathing on our own. Letting our minds arrive in our bodies. allowing ourselves to inhabit the space that we do take up. Let the thoughts come and let them go. As if we're the sky and the thoughts are the clouds. It's all okay to be here. As we move into exploring the practice of deep listening, perhaps there's a sound you can hear right now. Maybe it's dog barking or the hum of the refrigerator or air conditioning. Maybe you didn't notice it before, but you notice it now. Bringing to mind someone that we love, we find they just talk a lot. Maybe we're that person. Or maybe there's someone in our life who has a hard time getting around to the point of a conversation. We want to give ourselves and we want to give others the gift of our attention. Imagining that we're in front of them now. Instead of reflexively wishing that they would get to the point, we're taking a deep breath and we're reminding ourselves, oh, the words are unimportant. The energy under the words is what matters, this conversation. I want this person that I love to feel seen by me, to feel heard by me. So I'm taking some deep breaths to remind myself, oh, I don't have to hurry them along. I just want them to feel my presence, my energy, my acceptance, my openness, even if I don't agree with what they're saying. My intention is connection. I do this by taking some deep breaths, just quietly, and really intending and choosing to make direct eye contact with the person speaking. not looking away. This is hard to do sometimes. Just engaging with this person that we love, even if they drive us crazy. Taking a deep breath, making eye contact. And the third way to sharpen our practice of deep listening is to challenge ourselves to let that person finish speaking before we do. We're not interrupting them. We are not crafting a response in advance of their conclusion. We're listening deeply. We're listening to connect, to understand, and to witness. We're not listening to respond. In this way, our presence becomes the gift of love that we intend for this person that we've identified, and allows them to finish their thought and then give us their cue. Do they want feedback? Do they want strategies or solutions or opinions? Maybe they just want to be heard. Maybe they need the space to show up as themselves without judgment. By deeply listening to someone that we care about, we support them in being more of who they are, at least in our presence. As we share this gift, we find, or we may find, that others are more able to deeply listen when it's our turn to express ourselves through words. Can you feel the energy of the engagement without hearing that person speak? Can you feel the power of another person's attention on your words? And can that power be cultivated by us for those we love? And maybe even for those we don't. Spending these last few breaths consciously feeling the swarm of the love that we feel when someone listens, really listens to us. Can we let that land and permeate the This feeling of being heard is powerful. Can we hold it? Can we find an opportunity to try this? Asatoma Sargamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Churmaritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskaram. Welcome. The practice of learning to show up for someone else is a very basic form of generosity, isn't it? Something we've had done for us. We know those people who listen to us, don't we? Hopefully we all have at least one person that really listens. We want to do that for others. We want the people that we love to feel heard by us, to feel seen, and to feel worthy of our attention. We don't want to listen to respond or to solve unless we're in surgery or flying a plane, something that is a different situation. We want to listen to bear witness, to understand, and to connect. So thank you again for joining our session. And as we wrap up, a couple of ways that you can get engaged with the work that we're doing. The first is if you're interested in installing a meditation practice beyond our Saturday sits, we are sharing in the link a PDF of just a how to install your own meditation practice that we've put together. Also, all of these concepts, stillness and equanimity and observation, along with my own personal story of, I'll say not story, but experience of profound loss of two of my children, my daughter and my son. These are all included in the first of a 3-book series called The Healing Path, Stay Present. I am very excited to share that I've just sent the second book draft to my editor. So that'll be coming in the next couple of months. We're going to be exploring some other very powerful practices. My book, The Healing Path, Stay Present, can be found on Amazon, and there's a link to that in the chat, or we'll share that. Also, if you want to connect with me or our virtual healing community called Scars to Medals, you can easily find the landing page for that community at lisamcfarland.com/scars to medals. We'll share that link as well. And we won't be getting together next weekend, but we'll be back in 2 weeks where we'll be talking a little bit more about observation. So again, thank you for being here. We also do have a newsletter on LinkedIn. If you're so inspired, you can subscribe to Stepping Stones, which does look a little bit more specifically at grief and creating our healing paths. And I invite you to join that as well. So until we meet again, thanks again for being here. Let's do our best to stay present, to stay grateful, and to stay healing. Namaskaram.